Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video, I'm going to be shining the light on an easy labor and delivery. The reason why I'm doing this is because the night before I was induced, I watched like 3 or 4 stories, and they of course were all this like traumatic experience, and yes, that is more entertaining to hear about, but it made me nervous. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die tomorrow. Like, this is terrible. Like, getting induced, like, you have time to get nervous. Like, when your water just breaks unexpectedly, it's kind of like, holy, I have to deal with this, you know? Those of you who are pregnant and maybe are nervous about it, like, watch this. This might calm your nerves. If you're like randomly clicking through videos and you happen to end up on this video and you've already given birth and it was good, then we can relate. If it was bad and traumatic, then my heart goes out to you, because my experience, I personally would give birth like 20 times. Like, I'm not even kidding. So without further ado, if you're wanting to hear some encouraging thoughts on labor and delivery, please keep watching. Alright, I had to go get Beckham. He's in here now. He was asleep in the living room. So I guess just to start this off, like I said in my intro, I was induced. So I had time to kind of mentally prepare and also get nervous for delivering a 9-pound baby. First off, the night before, I had only slept 3 hours from 2 to 5. And when you're induced, they usually have you call like the morning of at 5 or super early and make sure they have room for you to come in case like everyone and their mother like decided to come in that night and have a baby. So I got to go in like as soon as possible. I got there around 8:30ish, 9ish maybe, and I immediately started Pitocin, which just basically jump starts everything. It makes you have contractions and all of that. So after about a few hours on that, I was, you know, just like chilling in the bed waiting for something to happen. And I will say, when contractions started, literally within like 10 minutes, like they weren't hard or anything, but I definitely had never had a contraction prior to being on Pitocin. So as soon as I started having them, like, they felt very funny. Like, I was actually laughing through them. Like, it was just a very different type of period cramp. Like, I know a lot of people like describe them as that, but it definitely wasn't a period cramp. It was like I don't really know how to explain it. It's just a weird feeling. So after a few hours of being on that, I'm sitting in the bed and I feel this like trickle like going down my leg, and I'm like, what is that? Like, I don't know what's happening. Like, okay, like, what is this? You know? So I'm like, hey mom, like, will you look like what's running down my leg? Like, I can't see back there. I'm literally 41 weeks pregnant. I'm huge. Like, I can't turn my body like that. Can you look? So she's like, sure. So she's like, oh, I don't know. Like, it's clear, but like, I don't know what it is. Like, it's only a little bit. So I'm like, who knows? At this point, I'm like peeing myself. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I roll over to fall asleep, and literally within like 20 seconds, I'm like, okay, check now, because it's like a lot. My water breaks, and this is around 11:30 in the morning, and then nothing happened until about 2:30. My contractions were still happening pretty regularly, and around 2:30 was when they were about 2 minutes apart and lasting a whole minute long. So at that point, being that I had only slept for 3 hours the night before, I was exhausted. Like, I'd been up, I hadn't eaten. I thought, I have no idea how long this is gonna last. Like, if I'm in labor for another like 12 hours, like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I'm exhausted. So at that point, my contractions were just like very annoying. Like, they were hurting. I'm not gonna say it was like dire pain, but like, they got to the point where I couldn't talk through them. Like, I had to really focus on like breathing and then, you know, like just getting through them. Side note, when I say they're lasting a minute long, they like build for 30 seconds and then you hit that peak of like the pain, and then they they like fall for 30 seconds. So like it's a minute long. It's not like a minute long of like, oh my gosh, like I'm dying, but like you definitely know when one's coming and you can definitely feel it like releasing. So that is just like an event in itself. It's like the longest minute ever. Like it's exhausting. So that's why around 2:30, that's when I chose to get my epidural. At that point I was tired, like I said, and therefore a little nervous, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, like if you get an epidural, like you're gonna be paralyzed, like what if they mess it up, blah blah blah. And so I was a little nervous, a little hesitant when they came in with this big old cart of like all these tools that are literally like 2 feet long. I was like, okay, this is gonna be great. So remind you, 41 weeks pregnant, I'm literally huge, and they have me scoot to the edge of the bed, hunch over. My stomach is huge, okay? There's no hunching to be done, okay? And so I'm leaning over like this, like onto this pillow, like trying to stay upright, but trying to lean over. Angel's here, like a nurse is here. I'm trying to like not focus on it and trying to breathe through a contraction. I know I'm about to have one when they're about to stick me with this needle. Well, I hear him say like, okay, like let us know when you've had a contraction, and right before the next one, that's when we'll go ahead and like stick you. So I said, okay. So I was like, oh, all right, hold on, like I'm having one. And then I was done, and then they said, okay, you're gonna feel a little pinch. Well, as I'm anticipating this pinch, I feel it and I jump. Like I got so flustered and whatever, but that was it. So I'm like, okay, all this talk about epidurals are terrible, like they're so scary, they're terrifying, like you're gonna go paralyzed, like all of this horror behind epidurals was literally nothing. Like it was an actual just pinch, like a pinch when you get like a normal shot, like it's just like that, oh, pinch. I immediately go numb, like within 10 minutes, I can't feel a thing. So at that point I was like, oh, thank God, like I can sleep, I'm not feeling anything at all. As I finally fell asleep, I woke up like hours later and I could feel a lot of pain on my right side, and I was like, oh, this is not okay, like not okay at all. So I called the nurse in and I told her, and the anesthesiologist came back in and he's like, what's going on, blah blah blah. And I told him like, I think it's literally like the epidural is non-existent on my right side right now. It was a very quick fix. He just wiggled it around a little in my back, upped the dosage, and boom, my right side was fine. Whatever, I labor for hours, and around 1:30 a.m. I'm getting checked, and I tell her like, I know like I can't really feel anything. I've never had a kid before. I don't know when you're supposed to push, but I know typically when you feel like you have to shit is like a sign that you can push, or you can start pushing or whatever, because the pressure is down there, meaning the baby is down there ready to come out. She says, oh no honey, like you're fine, blah 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 blah, like you're good, okay, whatever. So I'm like, okay, she's a nurse, like I'll go back to sleep, that's fine. Well, I didn't know this, but my mom had stepped out with her, and the nurse had told her like she probably has like 7 more hours of labor, blah 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 blah. Well, thank God my mom didn't tell me that, because I probably would have been like, are you serious? Like, whatever. It's not like it was bothering me, but I just, you know, like that's a long time. Like you're waiting for your child to be born 7 more hours on top of the time you've already done. That's a long time. So she comes back in an hour later. At this point, I'm getting checked every hour to see progression of hopefully I missed another centimeter, blah, blah, blah. She comes back in at 2:30, 2:35 actually. I tell her like, hey, like I'm still feeling that pressure, and she's like, okay, like we'll go ahead and get you checked. So at this point she has like in her mind 6 more hours of me being in labor. She's not ready to deliver a baby. I'm not ready to deliver a baby. And so I tell her I'm ready, like, or something's going on. Like she's like, okay, we'll check you. She lifts up to this sheet and his head is coming out. He is crowning, like Angel saw his head coming out. They like fly into action, call the midwife in, like everyone starts, like lights come on, like these big like spotlights are all in your business down there. I'm like, I'm still half asleep, but okay, like I guess I'm gonna have a baby now, like fine. So I'm ready to push within like minutes. Like, it's amazing how fast like hospitals can work. So people are in there, they're dressed, they're ready, and she instructs me on how to push and says, okay, like whenever you're ready, whenever you feel a contraction or kind of feel one, like try to push. And so I was like, okay, like I have really no idea how to do this. Like, I've never given birth before. So, okay, and I start pushing. I pushed for 15 minutes and he was out. Like, and I felt nothing. Like, I felt no pain. I didn't know when I was having contractions because I was still so numb from my epidural that I literally just pushed. Like, I didn't take breaks. They didn't count to 10. I pushed and then I pushed again. I caught my breath. I pushed again. Like, that was it. And he was out within 15 minutes. Thank God. Praise Jesus. It was like the easiest delivery ever. Like, I don't know why I was so blessed with it, but he came out very quickly. I didn't tear. That's it. I hope this helped any potential birth givers. I hope it eases your mind a little. I hope yours is as smooth as what mine was. I honestly would give birth like 20 times. If I knew it was going to go as smooth as his, I would do it for everyone if I could. Like, it was so easy. I'm sorry it wasn't any traumatic experience and this maybe wasn't as entertaining as you hoped, but like I said, if you guys are like me and you're watching this the day before you get induced or you're about to give birth, this would have been helpful for me to hear a good story rather than a bunch of traumatic experiences. Like, of course, watch both, but yeah. Say bye, Becca. We'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye.